Okay? So the first thing is this. Number one, there's an enemy to our story. Look at the way Esther described Haman in verse 6. Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this vile Haman. Do you know anybody else in the Bible that's called the adversary? Do you know anybody else that's called the enemy of God's people? We read it in 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your, let's say together, adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Now, if you know me, I don't like to talk about the devil because I don't want to give the devil glory for anything. Amen? So I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and I'm going to say it quickly, and we're going to move on. The devil's described as a roaring lion because he's trying to destroy you. And the top ways the devil tries to do that to us is, number one, by robbing our joy. That's the number way he does it. He wants to put circumstances in your life that will rob you of your joy, and if you're robbed of your joy, you're already defeated. The enemy is trying to distract us from the high calling Jesus has placed on our lives to be his ambassadors. The enemy is trying to derail the good work that God has started in our lives. And the enemy does it with a specific strategy in mind when it comes to you. The enemy knows exactly what your weaknesses are. He knows what my weaknesses are. They may be different than your weaknesses. For the football fans out there, he's like the Bill Belichick of football. Right? Because everybody, if you know football, you know Bill Belichick. He always has a strategy for each team. All right, listen, don't confuse me. I'm not saying Bill Belichick's the devil. Okay, that's for another day. I don't want anyone to misinterpret that. But that's exactly what the devil does. He's like, I got a plan for Dennis. I got a plan for Patrick. I got a plan for Roger. I got a plan for Eddie. I got a plan for everybody. And I know exactly what I have to do to rob them of their joy, distract them of their high calling, and to derail God's plan for their lives. But let us remember the last line in the Lord's Prayer. The last petition in the Lord's Prayer. Look at it up here. Matthew 6:13. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Or some translations have it as deliver us from the evil one. This is important because we have to recognize that we're engaged in a spiritual battle. Once we recognize that we're engaged in a spiritual battle, then we'll use spiritual weapons to win that spiritual battle. Amen? And this is one of the weapons that Jesus has given us to pray this prayer. Lead us not into temptation. But if it comes our way, then deliver us from evil or the evil one. Number two, let me say this. Not only is there an enemy to our story, but there's actually an answer to that prayer. Amen? There is an answer to that prayer.